Let's get right into it. 10. The spark that sticks. Attraction usually starts normal. Cute smile, good laugh. Brain goes, nice. End the story. Except sometimes your brain doesn't end the story. It opens 47 tabs and refuses to close any of them. You notice them once, then again, then suddenly your brain is running background processes like, what are they doing right now? And would they like this meme? And what if we accidentally bump into each other at a grocery store we both coincidentally chose? Psychologically, this is your dopamine system lighting up. Dopamine isn't the pleasure chemical like people say, it's the go-get-it-again chemical. It doesn't care if something is healthy, real, or even attainable. It just tags the person as interesting and shoves them into your mental spotlight. Basically, your brain found a shiny object and decided it's now the main character. 9. The fantasy upgrade. Here's where things get weird. You don't actually obsess over the person, you obsess over the version of them your brain quietly photoshopped. Your mind fills in gaps like a conspiracy theorist with Wi-Fi. You don't know how they handle stress? Your brain assumes they're emotionally mature. You don't know their flaws? No worries, your imagination deleted them. Congratulations, you're now emotionally attached to a fictional character inspired by a real human. This happens because your brain hates uncertainty. It would rather invent details than sit with, I don't know. So it builds a highlight reel, loops it, and charges you emotional rent every time you think about them. At this point, you're not dating them, you're beta testing a fantasy. 8. Variable reward madness. Imagine a slot machine. Sometimes it pays, sometimes it doesn't, and somehow that makes it more addictive, not less. That's what inconsistent attention does to your brain. One day they reply fast, next day, silence. Then suddenly they like your post, then nothing again. Your brain goes feral. This is called variable reinforcement, and it's the same mechanism behind gambling addiction. Predictable rewards are boring. Unpredictable ones turn your nervous system into a caffeinated raccoon. You're not obsessed because they're special. You're obsessed because your brain thinks it's playing a game it hasn't figured out yet. Basically, your emotional stability is tied to a human loot box. 7. Identity leak. Here's the quiet shift no one warns you about. Your mood starts orbiting them. Your confidence rises when they show interest and collapses when they don't. Your sense of self becomes outsourced. You don't just miss them when they pull away. You miss the version of you that existed around them. The witty you, the calm you, the hopeful you. Psychologically, this is emotional enmeshment. Your brain linked your self-worth to external validation. So when that validation disappears, your identity feels like it got unplugged mid-save. You didn't lose yourself. You just accidentally stored your personality in someone else's cloud. 6. The Rumination Loop. Your brain now has a favorite hobby, replaying moments like a broken Netflix autoplay. You analyze texts, you replay conversations, you dissect tone, timing, punctuation. Was that period aggressive? Why did they say lol instead of haha? Should you have replied faster, slower, in Morse code? This is rumination, repetitive thinking that feels productive but solves absolutely nothing. Your brain thinks if it replays the past enough times, it'll unlock a secret ending. It won't. All it's doing is keeping the emotional wound open because apparently your mind enjoys picking scabs at 2 a.m. 5. Withdrawal symptoms. Here's the part people don't like to admit. Obsession can feel like withdrawal. Loss of appetite, tight chest, restlessness, trouble sleeping, random waves of anxiety, that hollow, itchy feeling like something is missing, but you can't name it. That's not poetic heartbreak. That's your nervous system freaking out because it lost a dopamine source it got used to. Neurochemically, obsession activates the same pathways as addiction. So when the person pulls away, your brain doesn't go, ah, yes, emotional growth. It goes, excuse me, where is my chemical reward? Your body is acting like it lost a drug dealer, not a crush. Number 4. Reality avoidance. Obsession is sneaky because it gives you something to focus on instead of your actual life. Work stressful? Think about them. Lonely? Think about them. Unsure about your future? Think about them. Your brain uses obsession as an emotional screensaver. It's easier to obsess over someone unavailable than confront boredom, insecurity, or unmet needs. At least obsession feels intense. At least it feels like something. Psychologically, this is displacement. You're redirecting emotional energy away from problems you don't want to face and aiming it at a person who feels exciting and complicated. Congrats, your brain chose romantic chaos over personal growth. Number 3, control illusion. At some point, obsession convinces you that if you just think hard enough, analyze enough, or behave perfectly, you can control the outcome. You craft messages, you time responses, you play emotional chess while the other person might not even know the game exists. This gives you the illusion of control in a situation where you actually have very little, and your brain loves control almost as much as it hates uncertainty. The irony? The more you try to control how someone feels about you, the more powerless you actually become. You're micromanaging a relationship that hasn't even been installed yet. Number 2, boundary amnesia. This is where your internal rulebook mysteriously vanishes. At some point, you stop asking, "Is this okay for me?" and start asking, "How do I not mess this up?" Your standards don't get lowered, they get temporarily anesthetized. Late replies that would have annoyed you before, you rationalize them. Mixed signals that would have been a deal breaker, suddenly they're confusing but kind of deep. Emotional crumbs feel like a full meal because, hey, at least it's something. Your brain reframes everything to preserve the attachment. If they're distant, it's because they're busy. If they're inconsistent, it's because they're emotionally complex. If they hurt you, well, nobody's perfect. Psychologically, this is attachment anxiety hijacking your boundary system. Your nervous system is so focused on avoiding loss that it overrides self-protection. Proximity becomes more important than dignity. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar absence. You start self-editing. You hold back needs. You ignore gut feelings. You become emotionally flexible in ways that only bend one direction, inward. And the wildest part? You don't feel weak while it's happening. You feel understanding, mature, patient, chill. Meanwhile, your boundaries are lying unconscious in the parking lot. Basically, you didn't compromise your values, you misplaced them during an emotional emergency. Number 1, when it turns unhealthy. Here's the real line, the one people don't notice until they've already crossed it. Obsession becomes unhealthy when the person stops being a want and starts being a regulator. When your emotional baseline depends on them, their attention, their mood, their availability. You're no longer thinking about them because you enjoy it. You're thinking about them because your nervous system doesn't know how to settle without them. Silence makes you anxious. Distance feels threatening. Ambiguity feels unbearable. Your brain isn't asking, "Do I like this person?" It's asking, "Can I survive not knowing where I stand?" At this stage, attraction turns into vigilance. You monitor signs, you scan for shifts, you read between lines that may not even exist. Your mind is always on, like a smoke alarm that keeps chirping for no reason. Neurologically, this is chronic stress mixed with attachment bonding. Your brain learned that relief comes from them, so it keeps pulling your attention back like a glitchy magnet. Not because it's romantic, because it's dysregulated. That's why logic doesn't fix it. That's why reassurance barely lasts. That's why even imagining letting go feels like losing oxygen. Healthy attraction expands your world. Unhealthy obsession shrinks it until everything routes through one person. At that point, it's not about love anymore. It's about your brain outsourcing safety to someone who never agreed to be responsible for it. Basically, your nervous system put all its eggs in one emotional basket and then taped the basket to a stranger's hands.